Hey, One World Entertainment, and we have some news that should send a chilling shiver up your spine, and it's regarding Disney slash Lucasfilm and Indiana Jones. And that story is that, yes, apparently Disney and Lucasfilm are planning a full reboot of Indiana Jones. Now, personally, do I believe this? Well, I'll tell you that after we look at the article that talks about this and where this comes from, because to my surprise, it does not come from My Time to Shine, which I was 100% expecting to see. But let's have a look at this anyway and see why this is a thing, apparently. So, it's claimed that Disney and Lucasfilm have plans to fully reboot Indiana Jones. If the rumour is legit, that means Harrison Ford won't be returning to the iconic role he made famous in Raiders of the Lost Ark, released in 1981. Not that he was ever going to come back anyway. To start with, he'd be probably about 90 by the time they do another one. So Ford recently returned in Dial of Destiny, but it bombed big time at the box office. That's saying it all there, isn't it? So word about the Indiana Jones comes from the Disney fan site, the Diz Insider. In their mailbag Q&A, a fan asked the site, are there any early plans for what's next in the Indiana Jones franchise? The site responded, Lucasfilm is letting the franchise rest for a bit before they do a full reboot of the franchise. Here's where this gets a bit weird. The site added that an announcement could be coming at next year's D23 Expo and said Indiana Jones is too much of an iconic IP to go to waste. The Indiana Jones reboot rumour also comes alongside the recent speculation that Kathleen Kennedy will step down as president of Lucasfilm in 2026 for like the 27th time, aligning with Bob Iger's expected exit as Disney CEO at the same time, for about the 19th time as well. Dial of Destiny, released under Kathleen Kennedy, was a major box office flop, reportedly losing Disney at least $134 million and the rest. The film featured Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who was rumoured to be set up as Indiana Jones' replacement. However, director James Mangold later confirmed that the original ending was changed after berating people for 24 hours that there was absolutely no changes made to these movies. Remember that? There was also rumours at one time of an Indiana Jones spin-off series being developed for Disney Plus, but that doesn't look to be happening anymore. Presently, there is the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle video game, which has actually been well received. Its first DLC gets released in September. And from the most part of that game that I've seen people play, they've said it's garbage. That it's just very repetitive and stuff like that. So whatever with the game. It's people, they seem to they don't love it for the most part, but they don't hate it either. As for this rumour, do I believe this rumour? I would say no, I don't believe it. Why? Well, number one, I fully believe that there's possibly people within Lucasfilm and Disney that do want to do a full reboot. But I think that, including Bob Iger, probably has the actual tiny bit of common sense that says, no, we can't actually reboot this thing. That would not go down well. Now, from the fans' point of view, self-included here, would we be really wanting them to do a reboot? Or more to the question, do we think they could actually pull off doing a reboot? God, no. Absolutely not. Let's put it this way. They gave us their take and version of Indiana Jones with Indiana Jones, the real Indiana Jones, that being Harrison Ford himself, back in the role. We got to see what they would do with this character. Now, granted, we were dealing with an 80-plus-year-old Indiana Jones / Harrison Ford, so you couldn't exactly do a Raiders of the Lost Ark type of thing, but at the same time, you're seeing what their vision of a story would have been, and it was god-awful. It was terrible, to the point that I don't look at that movie as, number one, an Indiana Jones movie, and two, that character that we saw being played by Harrison Ford was not Indiana Jones. It might have been Bobby Jones, but it most certainly was not Indiana Jones. That's for damn sure. So, seeing what they were able to do and the type of story they would lay out, would you trust them to try and do a full reboot? Now, keep in mind, when they say full reboot, they're not talking about remake. So, we're not being told they're planning to remake Raiders, Temple, and Crusade. It's just, obviously, they're going to try and do possibly something like The Great Circle, but with a new actor and stuff. Who are they going to get? Like, what would they do? Are they going to get Alden Ehrenreich again? You know? It's like, nobody wants a reboot. Nobody wants remakes. And at this stage, nobody wants sequels. To say, well, it's too much of an iconic IP to let go to waste. Yeah, but it's also an iconic IP that the more you piss about with it, you destroy it, the less iconic it becomes, and the more people turn away from it. That's the issue they will run into. It's like, look at Star Wars, iconic IP, everyone loved it, Disney got their grubby hands all over it, disasters followed, and now look, nobody could give two flying shits about Star Wars. Like, it's unheard of to be able to take these IPs that should be legalized money printing. Realistically, it's like slap that thing out there and people, by God, should be running at it. And instead, it did the exact opposite. They putting stuff out and people ran away from it. Same thing with Indiana Jones. Once we start hearing the rumours with what Dial of Destiny was, people were like, oh God. Then of course, we heard about that ending, and that was people going, screw this movie. James Mangold, of course, came out and started attacking the fan base, calling them basement dwellers and everything else. Went on multiple 24-hour rants on X, and then turned out, after the movie came out and bombed, he went, oh yeah, by the way, we made tons of changes. Don't forget, he even called out John Williams when John Williams let it be known, oh yeah, we have to redo music for the ending because they're changing the ending of the movie. And then Mango came out and said, oh, he's confused, he doesn't know what he's talking about. While at the same time saying, John Williams knows everything that's happening in these movies. The other part of this rumour, that was hilarious, but the other part of this rumour that absolutely shows me that this probably isn't real and ain't happening, is what they say in the same sentence. Their response is, Lucasfilm is letting the franchise rest for a bit before they do a full reboot. Okay, so that would mean you're letting this thing sit for 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years before you decide what to do. And they followed them up immediately in the same sentence with, the site also announced, oh yeah, they might announce it at next year's D23 Expo. That doesn't exactly say, oh well, they're going to let it rest for a while just to announce it next year. That'd be 3 years after the release of the last movie that absolutely bombed, while the taste of that movie is still in people's mouth. You're not going to turn around and go, oh, by the way, we're doing a full reboot. Anyone excited? No? Oh, okay. Why would you announce it 3 years after the last disaster? Again, that's where this whole rumor falls apart for me, is the fact that they're like, they're going to let it rest, but they're going to announce it next year. That doesn't make sense to me. Either way, nobody wants a Indiana Jones reboot, reimagining, whatever they want to call it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants Disney to do anything with Indiana Jones anymore after the absolute colossal disaster that was Dial of Destiny. Nobody wants Kathleen Kennedy anywhere near these things. Whoever takes over for Lucasfilm, which would be Dave Filoni, make no bones about it, and whoever takes over at Disney itself, which, by the way, will probably be no one. Bob Iger probably ain't going nowhere. We'll see what they plan, and if Filoni turns around and says, oh yeah, we're definitely going to redo Indiana Jones, but then, by God, what could we say? What could we say? This, yeah, again, I don't believe it, but stranger things have happened. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is happening, and do you even want it to happen? Of course you don't want it to happen, but either way, let us know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.